Ang dami. 10 minutes na to. Ayun, dalawa na lang. Number 3 na lang. So I have a lot of topics. So maybe I'll have a lot of videos. Couple of videos today, so let's do this.
Basically about the 12 Irrational Beliefs by Albert Ellis. If you don't know him, go back to my other video that I will post before this one.
Number 1.
The idea that it is a dire necessity for an adult human being to be loved or approved by virtually every significant other in his community. So, in a gist, it means trying to please everybody. Guys, hindi natin kailangang magustuhan ng lahat ng tao sa buhay natin dahil it's impossible. And if you're gonna do that, well, good luck to you. Because that will be really hard. We definitely cannot please everybody. Don't do it. I don't recommend it.
Number 2.
The idea that one should be thoroughly competent, adequate, and achieving in all possible respects if one is to be considered worthwhile. Guys, hindi pwedeng sa lahat magaling ka. Sometimes when we have high expectations about ourselves, gusto natin magaling tayo sa lahat ng bagay. But again, according to Albert Ellis, this is an irrational belief because guys, hindi naman pwedeng magaling ka sa lahat ng bagay. Alam nga naman, lahat ng subjects magaling ka. Everybody has their strengths and weaknesses, and sometimes we have to accept our limitations because it's irrational to think that we can be perfect.
Number 3.
The idea that certain people are bad, wicked, or villainous and that they should be severely blamed and punished for their villainy. Yan. Itong pangatlo, sometimes pag mayroong umapi sa atin, feeling natin kailangan talagang maparusahan sila ng sobra-sobra. Or, for example, a particular group of people is the reason of all evils in the world. Minsan may mga ganyang beliefs yung ibang tao that they are going to blame a particular group of people, which should not be the case. I think this number 3 irrational belief is a result of discrimination and prejudice. Hindi market may particular group, particular religion, particular affiliation about something, sila na yung sisisihin mo. Baka may isa kang tao na talaga namang siya yung sinisisi mo sa lahat ng problema mo sa mundo. It's rather unfair, it's irrational, according to Albert Ellis. Because you'll never know, maybe on this person's story, you are the villain.
Number 4.
The idea that it is awful and catastrophic when things are not the way one would very much like them to be. Guys, hindi hindi nangyari ang mga gusto mo sa paraang gusto mo, ibig na sabihin wala ng pag-asa. Meron tayong plano, and pag hindi nangyari yung kahit isa dun sa steps doon, you feel awful about it. According to Albert Ellis, it's irrational to be that way because the possibilities are endless in this world. Maraming possibilities, and hindi nangyari yung inaasahan mo mangyari. It doesn't mean that life is hopeless. Ganun lang talaga. Sometimes it doesn't go your way, but maybe better things will come. Just wait for it.
Number 5.
The idea that human unhappiness is externally caused and that people have little or no ability to control their sorrows and disturbances. Alam ko na ang happiness para sa karamihan ay nakukuha sa mga external na bagay. Material things, from people. According to Albert Ellis again, happiness is internal. Walang kahit sinong makakapagpasaya sa'yo. Walang kahit anong bagay na makapagpapasaya sa atin. Because happiness comes from within. That's what he said. So if you're unhappy, that's because you chose to be unhappy. It doesn't matter what the circumstances because happiness comes from within you.
Number 6.
The idea that if something is or maybe dangerous or fearsome, one should be terribly concerned about it and should keep dwelling in the possibility of its occurring. Guys, this is an irrational belief because, bigyan ko kayo ng example, it's really dangerous outside. Kahit naman anong gawin mo, the world is dangerous. It's a given. Kahit naman sa loob ng bahay mo, it's dangerous. You're sleeping, and then nasunog bigla yung bahay, or something like that. Worst case scenario. Hindi mo siya maiiwasan. Pero dahil ba sa mga panganib na nagbabanta, you will stop whatever you're doing? Dahil ba may possibility na masagasaan ka everyday? you will not go out anymore? Guys, it's irrational because even though we'll live in a dangerous world, potentially dangerous world, life must go on. If you can help it, why stop? That's basically it.
Next, number 7.
The idea that it is easier to avoid than to face certain life difficulties and self-responsibilities. So maraming sa atin guys, no? Pag nahihirapan tayo, out na lang. Ayoko na. But, you know what? We cannot run from our problems kahit naman anong gawin natin. Pagtakbo, pag-iwas sa mga problema natin. Darating at darating ang panahon na kailangan natin siyang i-face. And kapag nilalayuan natin yung problema natin, hindi natin sinusolusyonan, lalo siyang tumatagal. Lalo siyang tumatagal, lalo ka nagsasuffer. At habang nagsasuffer ka, mas lalo ka nalulungkot. At habang lalo ka nalulungkot, alam nyo na. It's just a pitfall from there. It's a slippery slope. So if I were you, if you have a problem, try your best to handle it. Ayusin na kaagad bago pa siya lumala ng todo. I know it's hard, but it's harder if it keeps on going. If you can, solve it now.
Number 8 na tayo.
The idea that one should be dependent on others and needs someone stronger than oneself on whom to rely. So a lot of people, they go into relationships, whatever form, whatever type of relationship this is, they go into relationships so that they can rely on someone. Parang gusto nila may nag-aalaga sa kanila, they can take care of someone, because if not, they will feel awful about it. This is an irrational belief because you don't need anybody stronger than you. You need to be stronger. Hindi sila yung dapat mag-adjust. Maybe it's you who needs to adjust. Maybe you have to be stronger. We can develop our own independence. We don't need to rely on other people all the time. I know it feels scary for a lot of people to be independent, but I think it's scarier to be dependent all your life to someone. It's okay to ask for help, but don't think, it's irrational to think that you can't do it on your own, because you can.
Number 9.
The idea that one's past history is an all-important determiner of one's present behavior, and that because something once strongly affected one's life, it should indefinitely have a similar effect. So guys, it's a irrational belief because if something bad happens to you in the past, for example, sige sa love na lang para madali, niloko ka dati, pinagpalit ka, iniwan, just because that happened doesn't mean it will happen again in the future. There's a possibility na maloko ka ulit, but it doesn't mean that it's a guarantee. It doesn't mean that you should be troubled about it all the time. You know, you have to move forward somehow. Little by little, move forward. It's not your story anymore. The past is in the past. You have to let it go. Sabi nga ni Elsa, you have to let it go. The past is in the past. I like that particular lyrics.
Number 10.
The idea that one should become quite upset over other people's problems and disturbances. I know it can affect you. People's problems, may problema sila. But it should not affect you in a way that you will be stagnant or idle. Just because something happened to somebody doesn't mean you have to stop your world. It's okay to be concerned about them, to worry, but it should not affect you significantly. Pati ikaw, hindi ka na rin kumakain, hindi ka na rin nakakagawa ng mga dapat mong gawin. But of course, to be concerned for other people, perfectly normal.
Number 11.
The idea that there is invariably a right, precise, and perfect solution to human problems, and that it is catastrophic if this perfect solution is not found. Sometimes when we have problems, nisip natin merong particular na solusyon dito. But what we don't think is, again, the possibilities are endless. Kala mo isa lang yung solusyon. Pero dahil focus ka dun sa isang solusyon na yun, hindi mo na naisip na sobrang dami pang other choices. And one of the reasons is that a lot of people always think na I don't have a choice. Yun yung usually ko narinig sa mga tao. And usually sinasabi ko rin to sometimes, rarely, because I'm not that type of person, but I did say this at least once in my life, that wala akong choice. I don't have any choice anymore. But Because focus tayo dun sa there is no choice. Hindi tuloy natin naiisip yung other possibilities because we're not thinking outside the box. But once we let go of this precise solution, kaya isa lang yung solution na iniisip mo. Once we let it go, the possibilities will be endless. So according to Albert Ellis, it's an irrational idea to think that there is only one single solution to a particular problem.
And the last one,
The 12th irrational idea is the idea that you can give people, including yourself, a global rating as a human and that their general worth depends upon the goodness of their performances. Again, this is an irrational idea. You can't compare yourself to other people. You can't give yourself a rating. Parang may ratings. Depende sa educational attainment, sa social economic status, or sa civil status. Walang ganun, guys. Be your own person. Do not waste your time comparing yourselves with other people. I know it's really hard to not to do that and not to dwell on it, but it's an irrational idea to think that human beings can be rated. Let's not limit humanity to ratings and degrees and whatever differences we have or other demographic profiles that we have. Let's not do that. It's irrational. Just because you're you doesn't mean others are better. Just because others are like that doesn't mean they are better. All of us are people, and all of us have the potential to do better. Now that's a fact. Okay. Those are the 12 irrational ideas. I suggest that you read more and talk to other people because that's fast. That's it, guys, and see you next time. Bye bye. Thank you for watching.